This is Michelle Love. How are you? I hope your day is fantastic. You are listening to KPCA LP in Petaluma, a free-range radio station. I hope everyone is enjoying their morning. And this show is called Dynamic Change. And what I do with this show is I'm a certified wellness coach, self-defense instructor, fitness trainer, and I have a degree in psychology, and I talk about certain emotional patterns that people go through. I think are very common threads in life, to kind of break it down for people psychologically, and also how they can shift it somatically within their body through meditation. I often do guided meditation, and how they can develop new patterns of behavior to facilitate just that healing. Because I think part of what we miss a lot of the time in life is that we may be able to identify what we want to work on and heal within ourselves, but developing a whole new plan of action within life that really supports in a big way changing how we interact with people, how we treat ourselves, and how we structure our lives and everything. So this show is a weekly show on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock. I do upload them to my YouTube channel, so you can watch all of them if you like. And the YouTube channel is called Michelle Love with Dynamic Change and Wellness. And if you would like more information about me and the classes I provide, you could go to my website, dynamicchange-wellness.com, and you can also email me through that website. And I really recommend that to people, because if there's something that you want to find some healing around, and really want to find a way to problem solve a particular challenge in your life, I love being able to do that for people and come up with ideas and use my 30 years in the wellness field to just, what can we do to creatively approach that topic, because I love to really be creative on how I come about the solutions. And so I'm excited. Today I would love to talk about passion. And the reason I want to talk about passion is particularly going through the pandemic. I think it was very interesting it was a challenging time, but there was a lot of emotional things that I think got brought up to the surface for people, because we had all of a sudden this seclusion that we didn't have before. It's almost like life got interrupted and slowed down. And so it kind of forced you to feel like what's been sitting there for you within yourself, that sometimes that we're able to kind of override the sensitivity to what emotional stuff is, like our emotional baggage that's sitting there. When we're really busy and able to be distracted with our busyness, a lot of times we do not register, like, what are we feeling inside enough. It's kind of there, and it's always residually expressing itself within our lives, whether we like it or not. But I think it was a really powerful time for people, because everything really did slow down. And it wasn't by choice, but that was a powerful shift in life. And, being able to distract yourself, like all of a sudden it was almost like being forced to go inward. And I think that is really powerful, because going inward is how we are able to really be in touch with ourselves and realize what is going on with us. And our lives are so busy, and in America in particular, I think there's so much working that we run out of time sometimes to really be slow and to really feel. So I want to tell a short story before I dive on into it. And so I was at a type of festival that had all kinds of ethnic music not too long ago, like last year. And so there was people from other places, from other cultures, and I've always found other cultures very interesting. And the music was so rich and so beautiful because it just had this depth, it was just from far, far away in other parts of the world. There was like Greek and Arabic and all kinds of different music. And I was sitting there, and so there was people from different places. And I was watching them. There was dancing. And I've studied a lot of kind of folky dance, right? So from those cultures. So often they'll dance in a circle, like holding hands. And so they were doing that. And I was watching them, and I was watching the quality of connection between the people in that moment. And so there was people from, different backgrounds, different cultures, and the way they were connecting and melding in that moment was so beautiful to me. And I was watching them, and I was thinking, there was a deep felt sharing and connection in that moment that felt intimate. The quality just felt intimate, and it had texture to it, this depth to it. So this like passionate feeling of just being present with other people in a really expressive, beautiful way. And I was so moved by it. So that's what I want to talk about so we went through the pandemic, and it gives you a moment to kind of assess, right? And so, or many moments, a lot of moments, for a lot of people, too many moments. And so, right, I was sitting there, and so the ponderance of how do we create more of that type of connection? Because to me, that's very beautiful. To me, that was just not your everyday kind of superficial thing. It felt emotionally satisfying. And that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about, is how to create that emotionally satisfying texture in your life that inspires you, that feels passionate, that feels like you have this joy and exuberance. And so passion is many things. Passion can be an intimate thing in our relationship with a romantic partner. Passion can be having that passion for life. And passion can also be learning how to have passion within yourself. And the reason I bring that up is because I think, particularly if people grow up with abuse, sometimes we get so disconnected, or we never understood how to have a healthy, passionate connection. And so I want to speak to that, because we all want to have this really fulfilling, this really quality of depth of connecting with ourselves and with life and with others and with our partners. So, and I think it has a lot to do with trust. And so I've talked a lot about how you, in other shows, of how you can create all these safe boundaries. And the reason I talk about this so much is when you develop that safe container for yourself by having these boundaries, you feel safe to explore these new arenas of emotional texture that might be kind of scary and vulnerable feeling. And to me, life is about going to those places, because that's where you're going to get the deepest, most interesting, most expansive feeling experiences within your life. So how do we develop that? And so if we have a situation, I'm going to make up a person. I make up people. I give you these imaginary names of people and imaginary stories to really play out an example of someone's experience and how it could affect their expression of passion. And I go back to the childhood. I go back to, a particular type of experience that could create a pattern that develops a blockage for this, emotional experience. So if we say, I'm going to create the name Vicky. So this is my imaginary person, Vicky. And Vicky grew up with an abusive environment within the family home. And so there was abuse of an intimate nature. And with her, the result of it is she grew up and she felt very disconnected to, there was kind of a deadening inside. Okay, the passion, being able to feel safe enough to feel passion, there just wasn't a safe container or feeling. So there becomes to be this kind of just, I'm not feeling anything. Vicky didn't feel anything. So Vicky, as she grew up in her life, noticed, let's just say, during the pandemic, she noticed that she felt really quite numb inside, and that there was this dissatisfaction, feeling like she couldn't connect with that closeness within herself and with partners, romantic partners. So when she noticed this, she decided, there's many, many, many ways to get help, and therapy is always a good one. Support groups are always a good one. She could find a support group for survivors of that type of abuse. She could see a therapist. And what I find really interesting is I think it's really about developing trust within yourself. And I think there's so much disconnection in this particular arena with feeling safe enough to have a deep level of passion, because passion isn't just a physical thing, it's an emotional thing. So there's this deep sharing of self that you allow yourself to feel safe enough to feel vulnerable, to feel exposed, to feel accessible, really let someone else in. So this is like a really deep sharing. So in order to feel safe enough, you have to feel like, I think the trust doesn't mean we can trust other people. We have to trust ourselves first. So to trust ourselves first, so then we feel safe enough to open to life, to others, to let this beautiful connection and expression of passion into our lives, okay? So Vicky realizes that she doesn't understand how to feel safe. So in order to develop trust within herself, she will have to develop boundaries so she will feel safe enough so she can trust herself, that she knows she will keep herself safe. And so the inner child is what doesn't feel safe. So when Vicky was growing up with this type of experience as a child, and they didn't learn how to feel safe as a result, and didn't understand how they could feel safe with passion and that deep kind of emotional connection with somebody, she's going to have to create this scaffolding for trust, for feeling safe within herself, so she can allow herself to reach out in this way to someone and also allow them in, and also just do it with life. So this is very powerful. So to develop the trust and the boundaries, she, as I have gone over many times in other shows that I have done, is really deciding what makes you feel safe. So creating some expectations, some filters for who and what kind of behavior you will allow into your life. So deciding, like let's just say that she wants to develop, Vicky, this imaginary person, wants to develop passion in their life, which will lead towards passion within a relationship where she feels a deep level of satisfaction and connection. So to develop that, she's going to start with, okay, in order to feel safe, she's going to only allow certain situations within her life that feel positive. So the toxicity needs to go. So Vicky has always struggled with, because she grew up with a certain level of pretty extreme toxicity and abuse, and in many ways, she's kind of numbed out to that abuse. So she is desensitized to it. So she has attracted and also bumped up against abuse patterns throughout her life, which is not her fault, but it's just kind of what you end up identifying with and understanding, and you're used to it, right? So Vicky's tired of that, and I don't blame her. So now she wants to have something that feels good. So she's like, okay, what feels good? She's like, well, she's decided that she wants to find fun things to kind of nourish her soul, right? Nourish her inner self, her inner child. And so she wants to look for situations that are very positive feeling. So that's a boundary, creating that safe container. Vicky will only strive to find situations that really feel emotionally very nourishing and safe. So in doing that, she's decided, well, what can I do? And that's always the, the question to figure out. And so Vicky's always been pretty shy. Okay, so let's say she's very shy, and she always wanted to dance, but felt very self-conscious and not confident in her body in this way. So she felt very inhibited, and she always thought it would be really lovely to be able to just feel comfortable enough to enjoy the music, enjoy her body, and dance. So she's decided to, take some classes. And so what she decided to do was find a class that maybe it's a beginning level tap dance class. So she goes to take this class, and she gets her tap dance shoes, and she found, so a way to make it be really comfortable is she found a class that was for her age group. Okay, so let's say maybe she's 35. So she kind of poked around, found a class for women, so that made her feel comfortable and like no one was going to be watching her or judging her. Maybe she's very self-conscious and she just has a hard time feeling exposed. Okay, so she found a situation where she could be in a class that women her age, and so she feels comfortable, she can relate to them, and she goes to this class. She has her new tap shoes, and for her, this is really stepping outside of her comfort zone. And tap dance is quite entertaining. I've taken it very little, but it is really playful, in my opinion. And you have the sound of the shoes, and it's like exploring sound through your body and dance. So it's really quite fun on many levels, right? So you can't help but kind of laugh at yourself halfway through it, because there's sound that you're trying to create, and there's movement, and So this quality of playfulness is bringing Vicky joy. She's really enjoying it. The ladies in the class are just really kind. They're all very down to earth, and she feels really comfortable. The teacher is just kind of playful and funny, and it's really giving her this sense of joy inside, and it's really building up that muscle of just really allowing herself to experience joy, to experience creativity. Now, creativity is connected to passion. So when, if you ever meet someone that's like a musician or artist or something, they are passionate people that are like really dedicate themselves to that art form that they are doing. They are passionate people, and they're channeling it into something. So Vicky is creating this within herself by giving herself a channel of expression that is creative. And it also has this element of joy, and it makes her laugh, it makes her heart feel something. So there's many layers here, and she gets to be in her body. So moving in your body is a way to connect with passion, because it's also connecting with the sense of physical experience, like sensuality. So that's part of connecting to that. So again, you're listening to Dynamic Change. My name is Michelle Love, and you're listening to KPCA LP in Petaluma. And this show, what I'm talking about today, is how to connect with passion in your life, how to create it. If you have had some experiences in your lifetime, as in your childhood, that caused some inability to feel safe in this arena, I'm giving you an imaginary story. And the imaginary person today is Vicky. And I'm telling how she was able to start cultivating and waking up and experiencing these feelings she never felt safe before to feel, to start connecting with passion on many levels, so she can have more passion just within herself, because we have to connect with ourselves to have passion with other people and to have passion with life. So she started out with this tap dance class, and this was for her inner child, and this is to create joy and movement within her body. And so she did the tap dance class for maybe a couple of months, and it started to make her feel braver and to also not take herself so seriously. And I think it's so therapeutic to be able to laugh at yourself. And when I took the tap dance, I took one class, and I was studying other types of dance, and I didn't have tap shoes. My dance teacher at the time gave me a pair of her tap dance shoes. Now, the tap dance shoes were too big for me, so I felt like I was wearing clown shoes, tap dance clown shoes. And there was no adult classes, so I had to take the little kid class. So this was pretty hysterical, because I was about 22 years old in this class, and these little kids had taken, they were like maybe 7, 8 years old, had started tap dancing when, I don't know, they were like 5. So they were extremely good, and I had never done it before. So I had no choice but to basically laugh at myself the whole time. It was really hysterical because the shoes didn't quite fit. They were kind of floppy, kind of big. So I just felt, kind of like this clown. And these kids were kicking my butt all over the floor. They were just so adept at doing this thing. And it was so fun for me and so hysterical. And I just laughed at myself, and I enjoyed that moment. It was so enriching and cute to watch these kids and to just enjoy this dynamic. So doing something like this that allows you to feel playful, to feel vulnerable, to feel like it doesn't matter if you can do something well, it doesn't matter if the kids are better at it, is really, I think, allowing ourselves to kind of grow and play on the inside. So this is what Vicky was doing. She wasn't in a dance class with kids, but it was the same kind of thing. There was this playfulness, and she's in her body. So this fed her inner being and her inner child. So she started to feel braver, and she's like, I always wanted to paint. Vicky just would be, she would think I would go to the museums that would just really touch her soul. Like she would feel it deep inside it when I go to the museums and I look at this beautiful art, and and she would love to go look at art that was just maybe it was art that was focused on the beauty of the feminine, of women, of nature. And she would go and look at it, and it would just make her feel more connected to her own her own feminine side, appreciating the beauty of it. And it touched her in a way that was very meaningful. And these beautiful landscapes and the flowers and all these things that she was looking at, whether it was Georgia O'Keeffe or whoever this was, the artist, it moved her deep inside. And she was like, I think that would help me, because I feel something poignant and something profound when I'm looking at this type of artwork. So she decides to enroll in another class. And in this class, she is maybe she found a class that was kind of, let's say, Georgia O'Keeffe, because Georgia O'Keeffe not only portrays that kind of feminine expression, she also does it through these beautiful flowers and the landscape, and you can really feel it when you look at her art. So maybe she found a class that was kind of that genre and that expression. And for her, when she did this painting, she felt this deep shift within herself, that she felt her inner child and her feminine inside, which needed this healing because she grew up with intimate abuse. So for her, this is a big deal. So Vicky's feeling like, wow, when I do this, I feel safe. Okay, so she is connecting with emotional safeness. Okay, so as she paints, and she can also put this intention in her painting. So as she's learning, she could also do, some deep breathing and create the focus of, when I paint, I'm going to imagine how it feels to be connected with my inner feminine side and the beauty of it, because the expression is happening through the art, and enjoying it, connecting with her own passion, feeling beautiful, feeling sensual, feeling just the quality of that beauty. Because when you are creating like that, and you are painting, and you are picking the color, and you are deciding how the texture is going to feel. See, you're working on all the senses. So passion is about all the different layers of the senses. Okay, it's like the mind, it's touch, it's emotional imagination and feeling, it's creativity, it's through the body. So there's so many layers to this. So as she's painting, she can set that intention of, okay, I'm going to really decide what is the most passionate, beautiful colors to me that really express the beauty of the feminine right now through this flower. And so she can paint that and create that. And then as she's doing the borders, okay, so this is like art therapy. We're getting creative here. So art therapy kind of concept, if you are deciding the intention of what you want to put into your creation, this mindfulness, you're creating this, it's like almost like through your body, because you're, you know, kinesthetically creating something. So your mind's connected, your emotional body's connected, your your physicality is connected, because you're creating it, so that you set the intention of, okay, I did this beautiful flower and I feel, so Vicky's like, I feel connected with my inner beauty when I do this. I feel connected with my feminine, and I can relate to feeling beautiful now. So she did it in this way that was for herself, and it felt safe, and it felt like now she could be seen, because she put that intention into the art, right? That she was like, when I create this flower, I'm going to connect with the beauty of the feminine. I'm going to express my appreciation for that beauty, which means she can appreciate her own female side, her own beauty as a woman. And then, so now she's going to shift the focus in the art. Now she's going to be like, I'm going to put a safe container around this beautiful flower, around this representation, the symbology for her, for the feminine, for her feelings as a female. So around the flower, maybe she decides she's going to put just this really safe yard. Okay, and this yard can represent part of her home, part of where she lives within herself. So there's this yard that has this beautiful fence with all these vines all over it. So there's this healthy growth of life, okay? And there's this symbology of a healthy boundary of self-protection through this beautiful fence that has all this beauty on it. So you can feel safe and feel protective of yourself without it having to feel harsh. You could still be feminine. You can express it in a way that you don't have to do it out of fear. That you're doing it out of, if I need to be strong within myself, I will be very vocal, I will be very firm, and you know, if I have to be feisty, then fine, I have to be feisty if someone doesn't want to listen. But, you know, this idea of our boundaries can also feel so strong within ourselves that it doesn't have to feel like a struggle. It can feel like this strength. So there doesn't have to be a fight when you have that boundary. So her symbolism, her icon, whatever you want to call it, has this beautiful fence with these vines and flowers all over, and it's, I mean, so beautiful. So I think that's a really powerful way to do the symbology. And she is, as she's doing that, she's doing deep breathing, she's focusing on that, and she's integrating it into her body. And so you can do these techniques to really just kind of assimilate this idea as you are creating. So then Vicky, you know, does this painting class, and every painting she decides to do this focus. So there's like this intention that she sets. So real quick, let's do a guided meditation. You can do this with me now. And what we're going to do is to do a guided meditation that, for example, Vicky would do to set this focus with her creativity as she's creating this art. So you can sit in your chair or lay down, and we're going to do some deep breathing, palms up on your legs or palms up as you're laying down on the, you know, the floor or on the couch or whatever feels comfortable. So we're going to take some deep breaths and slowly exhale, and some more deep breaths, and slowly exhale, and one more deep breath, And slowly exhale. And then as Vicky is laying there, she's deciding, she's imagining, okay, I'm going to paint later and make this creation. And she's deciding, I want to create this feeling of beauty with sensuality within herself, of feeling acceptance about her sensuality, her body. And so she's going to do this painting about, this beautiful, beautiful flower, and it's going to represent the feminine for her. So she's going to think about this beautiful flower, and she's going to think about all the qualities. She's going to say, I'm going to paint this beautiful rose. And she's going to decide the texture of the colors, like how does she want the colors to feel? Does she want it to feel this deep red, and maybe the inside of the flower has this dark, 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 beautiful crimson red? And that's like the deepest part of her female side. And so she breathes in, and she imagines the quality of that deep crimson red. And where would she feel that in her body? So she decides, where, maybe it's by, where her uterus is, or someplace deep within. And she's going to say, okay, that color, feels the depth, the richness of that beautiful, beautiful red, feels where she wants to start. So she starts there, and then she decides, okay, and how do I want to imagine it, the smell of this flower? The tea rose is such a beautiful smell with roses, because not all roses smell. So maybe she's like, okay, I want that rose, that deep, beautiful rose smell. So you want to engage all the senses to create the quality of experience of passion. So there's also smell. So decide the smell, and she might also decide she wants to create the smell of the garden. This is a yard, right? So maybe there's jasmine also on the vines on the fence. So maybe there's jasmine, and there's rose, and there's like a cedar tree. So there's this beautiful cedar smell. And so she's going to engage her senses there. And then she decides the color is going to expand, and maybe it's going to fade out into purple. And so she decides all the layers of purple, and she's going to imagine the softness of the petals. And as she's breathing, so take some deep breaths, imagine the texture of the petals. And you can even softly touch your arm. And imagine, how petals on the flowers can be so silky and so soft. It's such a really, you don't feel it in other places in life, like they have their own silkiness, flower petals. So just imagine if you just brush, you can have your eyes closed, you gently, gently just caress your arm, and imagine if your skin was as soft as the petal. So taking a deep breath, imagine that softness of the petal and the beauty of the color, the richness of the color, and how it fades, and how like the silkiness of that petal just evolves into another color. And imagine all these beautiful scents that you're smelling from this yard. Breathing in and exhaling and relaxing. And breathing in these feelings deep into your heart, in your lungs, and deep into your belly. Okay, so Vicky is breathing deep into the lower belly. So do this with me now. Another deep breath. Deep into your belly. And now Vicky wants to imagine just the relaxation she feels as she connects with these, you know, feelings, these qualities of feeling safe within this garden that is her garden, that contains her feminine side, where she feels this representation, the symbology of her boundary. And her boundary, she's decided. So you do this with me now as you breathe and imagine a couple things that define this fence. So the fence can be only allowing happiness into this garden, only allowing joyfulness. The only thing that's allowed is beauty and good-naturedness, kindness. And this fence is just a boundary, and all the good is allowed into this garden. And that's what's growing here. This is what's healing. This is what's cultivating. So she takes another deep breath, and she imagines the colors that she would use to symbolize this filter that she puts within the vines on this fence of what is joyful to her. Yellow feels joyful, and orange, and these beautiful colors, and how the leaves would look, and how the leaves would be dynamic. So maybe they're a little fierce looking. She likes to feel like that's where I'm going to express some of my feminine power, right? So maybe there's these lines on the leaves that have a strong line of how she's able to be strong within herself. She's able to express this depth and this power within herself. And so then she imagines the strength within these leaves and the vines and the stem of the vine. And then also the ground. She's decided the ground has these beautiful strong rocks to give her this structure, this connection with the earth that feels strong within herself, that feels connected to the earth, connected to her feminine, and how the feminine relates to the earth. So taking another deep breath and exhaling, feeling the connection to the earth, and feeling how that makes you feel solid within yourself, feeling like you have something to connect to. And how does that make you feel inside? So now Vicky's inner child, and you can connect to your own inner child, has this safe place to play in this yard. So you can give your inner child, if you can connect with it, or just imagine it, because we all have this younger part of ourselves that is so lovely to bring out, so we can feel safe to play and create passion and playfulness and joy and texture within our lives. So just imagine this is the garden where the younger parts of ourselves that are healing can play, feel safe, enjoy beauty, enjoy expression. So maybe her inner child at that, she's going to paint the small child, the representation to her of this inner child dancing in the yard and just enjoying the smell of the flowers, enjoying the sun on her skin, and feeling so safe, so beautiful, and so special. So let's take a deep breath and create that space for yourself, some part of your inner being in this garden. One more deep breath. And release. So being present with this creation, then just decide, okay, in order to create this boundary for yourself, you just decide on some things that you will really translate this into your life. So this boundary of this fence, this symbolic fence, is that you are only going to allow nice people. You're only going to allow, we're going to come in contact with all kinds of people all the time, but the people that are allowed into your garden, your intimate circle, your life, are people that are kind, people that acknowledge and see you, people that appreciate the qualities of you, appreciate that you are kind, appreciate that you are present in your life and working to have really healthy, positive life experiences and activities. And so really thinking about how does that translate so you can have trust within yourself, building that trust within yourself that you will put that kind of filter with who you allow into your personal private space. So one more breath. And I want you to imagine some of the filters you would create that would allow you to feel like you are trusting yourself to feel safe because you have put these filters and standards with who's allowed into your life. So last deep breath. And exhale. So now, going back to Vicky, Vicky has, every time before she paints, she does this little guided meditation, and she's developing this inner world for herself that feels like now she can trust herself to express more, because there is vulnerability that is involved with expression, so she can relate to passion more. So now she's decided she's ready for maybe taking a dance class that's couples dancing. And I tell you, when I have studied couples dancing, it is so romantic. It's so beautiful. Like ballroom dancing, oh my God, it's so just, you feel held. You feel held. You have to have this trust, this vulnerability of having someone right up in your personal space that you're dancing with, and you have to find a way to relate physically with them. So your body is moving with them. You also have to, as a woman, you have to allow the masculine, the man in that moment, you have to kind of surrender a little bit to be guided. So that's very passionate too, feeling safe enough. So this is huge. Now Vicky's like, I can feel safe enough to feel led. And so that's another quality of passion. We have to be able to trust that this is a safe thing where you can be led in life in those moments when you choose. And this allows for deeper physical passion. And then, especially if you do like Latin dancing, that's very sensual, and yet it's sensual. It's not about sexuality. I think it's more so has that flow of just passion to it that's so beautiful. So maybe Vicky's like, she does ballroom for a while, and it was hard, like for her to look into someone else's eyes and she doesn't know them, right? She's taking a class. This is like, she's really done all these steps and she's really brave. So she's taken this class with strangers, and it was huge for her. But the people in the class, they're all, new dancers. It was beginner class, so everyone feels awkward and uncomfortable to some extent. So she felt safe because there wasn't that pressure of someone being a very good dancer, and it was just fun and it felt joyful. And then she got used to engaging with someone, having that close physicality, feeling safe, feeling, the freedom of allowing herself to trust that person because she could trust herself to be led in a physical way. And then so she did the salsa class and the tango class. I've done that one. That was so cute. And because it's so much fun, right? You do the real dramatic, the head movement, and it's just like so enjoyable. Like I laughed every time we had to do the head whip. I thought it was the funniest thing, but it was so enjoyable to allow that freedom, that connection, that boldness, right? And this is going to help her romantically when she reaches out. This is giving her passion within herself. And also you can dress up for yourself, put, gently caress your arm, work on feeling sensual within your body, putting on something that feels beautiful, maybe buying a new perfume, or doing these little things that give us this texture to our emotional experience, our smells, taste. You could like get dressed up, and Vicky could say, I'm taking myself out to eat, and I'm gonna go eat this food. I'm gonna eat with my hands, because that is like like a sensual thing, and I'm going, as I do it, I'm gonna just indulge, and I want to go eat this, my favorite dessert, with this really beautiful display, at this fancy little cafe, and they do this, fancy little tea thing, and these little things that allow her to experience beauty and giving to herself, that have this experience of passion, building it within yourself. So she's doing it through texture with the food and taste, and she dressed up for herself that day, and she put this beautiful dress on, and she's been painting, and she's been dancing, and she's going to listen to some beautiful music so you hear beauty, and she starts to feel deep within herself all these feelings, and allowing someone to touch her when she's dancing, and she's feeling safe. And then she does the Latin dancing, and it feels, has a sensual movement to her. All these things are waking up her cells and her emotional being and her inner child to, I can feel present in my body and feel safe and feeling more passion. So finding, and she gets to play, she can feel affectionate with herself, right? By doing these things that are just building up these layers of enjoying life in a deep, meaningful, rich way, and taking yourself out on a date, taking yourself out to the museum, taking yourself out to the beach, but doing these things where you spend extra time and effort on yourself. So that's my example for my imaginary person, Vicky. And what I would like to do now is read about one of the shows we have here at the station at KPCALP in Petaluma. Again, my name is Michelle Love. You are listening to Dynamic Change. And this show today, we have talked about passion and how to create passion, especially when you have had trauma as a child, how to get comfortable with passion within your body, within your subconscious, and how to create behaviors in your life and intentions to open yourself up in a way where you feel safe, and so you can have a passionate connection with others. So the show here at KPCA is a weekly show. It's called Live Crashing Headfolds, and it's on Thursdays from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's hosted by Mona. And Live Crashing Headfolds is a weekly radio program playing all forms of experimental music, from academic and fine art down to home taped noises and industrial crud. 2 hours of music and its opposites, bringing your own questions and leave with new ones. So that sounds really interesting. So that's on Thursdays again at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So this show today, it's called Dynamic Change, that I host every week on Wednesdays at 11 to 12 o'clock. You can listen to it live on the radio and on the live TV station. I upload them to my YouTube channel, Michelle Love with Dynamic Change and Wellness. Again, my website, if you need more information on me, is dynamicchange.wellness.com, and you can see the kinds of different services I provide for people in the community. And So I hope that's been enjoyable to you, and I really hope you reach towards passion, because I love to see other cultures and how they have these textures that to me really show how you can create and have passion within your lives. And I think Americans, we don't have it often enough. I do think that within America, the focus a lot of times is kind of workaholic kind of behavior. Like, we work a lot, and how much are we enjoying passion in life, you know? So other cultures where they take that time to, really put love into their food, right? So they're setting the intention of really putting that time and quality and love into their food. Love, what is it called? Love Like Chocolate, or I don't remember that movie, but there's movies about that, of putting, passion into the food, and then enjoying the food, and then sitting outside with your loved ones and just talking and enjoying each other and enjoying the yard, your special yard, the magical yard, right? And sitting there and really connecting and taking that time to go for those walks together, taking that time to do games together, doing activities that produce fun and bonding and a quality of connection that is deep. So, and I think it's so important to find ways to create that in your life. So for me, it has always been taking myself out on a date, having some food that feels really nourishing. Maybe I want to sit in the cafe, drink and have a lovely, coffee or tea, and a really amazing book that kind of just feels inspiring to me, that moves me on a deep level, that has flavor. Life should have flavor and texture and beauty, and doing things that give you tactile, passion as well, the feeling something that, petting animals even, it's like it's feels so silky and soft, or having a blanket that is silky and soft, or wearing something that feels good on your body. The clothing feels good, the color feels rich and beautiful. But allowing these things, I think, really have an effect on our psyche and our emotional well-being, allowing yourself to wear that beautiful color. So I hope you have enjoyed today's show. I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to speaking next week. And it looks like the sun has maybe come outside. So you have a wonderful day, and I hope you reach towards activities that move your soul, that make you feel inspired, and make you feel passion deep within your heart. You have a wonderful day. I will see you next week. My name is Michelle Love, and you have been listening to Dynamic Change on KPCA-LP in Petaluma, a free-range radio station in Petaluma. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye now.